what's up, everybody? This is PVD Horror, and I am Dave. I'm joined here with Brandon, and this is our second episode for the What Did We Just Watch feature. This is a monthly feature where you freaks tell us what to watch, and I say that with all the best meaning behind it because you guys really know how to pick some good films for us to do some first time watches with. So just to recap what this is all about, like for us to do this, we pick them off of your recommendations on social media, and they have to be films that Brandon and I both have not watched prior to recording.
Yeah.
So Brandon, how did our picks this month feel for you?
I have to say the two picks for the films are definitely A1, So to start off with, we had what was it, Sisters, the 1972 version.
Yes.
That was from Miss Mel. And we had Nicole Matarese. So thanks again for some great choices right there. So this is Sisters. I don't know, do you want to say the second film right now, or should we?
Yeah, we can just let people know what the episode is.
All right, and then
just so they know. Yeah, go ahead. So
yeah, and the second film that was featured was The Deadly Spawn. And
that's by Dave Horror. Dave _horror. So yeah, these were that. What year was that, Brandon?
Deadly Spawn was
83.
83. Yep, 1983.
I like that we're getting some older film recommendations.
Yeah. So that's the thing for me. Like I was never really big into like 70s horror films, but like we said, our first film that we was recommended was Sisters. That was 1972.
Yeah.
It definitely kind of takes you back in time to kind of like miss some to catch some of the films that you missed. The Sisters, I had started it a long time ago because I think we actually talked about this film in the first season.
I was like, because when you told me you had started, I was like, really?
Yeah, because it was something popped up before. Because it was a film that we kind of talked about because you know how we would sit there and do slept on films.
Mm-hmm.
This was a slept on film a long time ago. So, I had started it but never finished it. And so I remember that once I kind of like put it together, I was like, damn, I definitely need to finish this film. So, and then when you told me you didn't see it, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Sisters.
I'm glad you didn't finish it because then it gave us the opportunity to pick it for this episode. And I thought that this was a cool pick because A, I'd never heard of it.
Yep.
B, even if I had heard of it, I probably would have slept on it because nothing about like the picture that pops up on HBO Max because it's streaming on there. Nothing about the picture actually like stands out to me.
Yeah.
And it was fucking bananas.
Yep.
It was like literally just off the wall. But still a 70s film. So when I say that, I mean like we talked last month when we did Race with the Devil. We talked about how 70s films can sometimes drag a little bit.
Yep.
And there's parts of this that definitely drag. So
definitely.
But then they make up for it with some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So just to kind of start off and give people a sense of what this film's about, we start off with what is it? It's like a dating show. Was it a game show or a dating show?
Yeah, it was like a peeping Tom show. It was one of those old sitcoms back in the 70s. I think it was something famous. Probably on like what is it, the TV Land back in the day.
Yeah, no, I remember they used to have like a candid camera show back in the day, and this is basically what this was, but it was like a test to see how you would respond to these really uncomfortable situations. And basically a woman who we find out is Margot Kidder's character undresses in front of this gentleman. He's an African-American guy. She undresses right in front of him. And then like they pop up with this screen that has like three options. Like, what do you think he's gonna do? Is he gonna? Oh, and she's blind.
Yeah,
she's blind. So like he could easily just sit there quietly and watch her undress. He could, say excuse me, or the third option was like he could just walk away and be a gentleman. And he walks away and he's a gentleman, right?
Yeah, he was a gentleman.
He was.
would you pass on that test?
I actually thought about that. I was like, ooh, I don't know. I think
You
I
know?
would have been, in all honesty, I probably would have been. It was like a public like changing room. I think I
Yeah.
would have been super like nervous if someone would have walked in and caught me. Like that would have been the only thing in my mind. Like someone's gonna catch me in here with this blind woman. So I probably gotta get my peek and then leave.
Yeah, the guy, he reminded me of a young Michael Jackson back in the day from the Wiz.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was
did
something
kind of
that
look like.
stuck out to me, and I'm like, all right. So yeah, definitely. So like after that Peep and Tom show ended, they were both actors, and then they end up going back to her apartment. Like,
Mhm.
well, first going out to like eat and everything like that, and then back to her apartment, and then like you kind of see like that show was staged and everything like
Yep.
that. But I think back then, there was a lot of racial tension kind of like
Ah,
fueled in this film. So even like it started off because when they were doing the Peep and Tom show, when the female was giving her, she was talking and kind of giving the information, she had time. And then once the black guy got into explaining what he did, it was like, sorry, we're out of time.
yeah,
It was something
good
that
catch. Good catch.
I
I noticed it, but didn't put a lot of thought into that. But that's a good point. And I didn't know how much race was gonna how much they were gonna point out race until a little bit
yeah,
later when they directly pointed out.
yeah. And then so like we say, the race factor definitely goes on down more in the film.
Yep.
And so yeah, like you said, this film was also known as Blood Sisters when it came out in the UK. And like you said again, it's on HBO Max. So
Yeah.
if you have not checked this film out, definitely check it out on HBO Max or anywhere you can rent films or
Mhm.
buy it. Check it out.
Yep.
Anything like so. Let's go. So from that point,
Yes. All right. So they go on this date. They go back to her place, which they have to take a ferry to,
yep,
because she's in, what is she, in Staten Island?
Staten Island. Yep.
And he goes, I thought you said you were in New York. And she's like, isn't Staten Island New York? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm thinking to myself, I thought it was too. They take the ferry back to her place and they have like this. It feels like he's in there for a month. I don't know how long he's actually there, but it just
Yeah.
feels like he pretty much moves in. It's this weird, like crazy, intense relationship that is like very odd. She's
Yeah.
weird. Oh, when they were at the restaurant, like some guy comes up to her and he's
Mhm.
like saying that she's not single or something like that. And we don't know who that guy is, but we assume she's
Yeah.
connected to him and she kind of pretends she doesn't know him.
Hmm.
And she's like in despair. So I think the guy kind of is like, feeling like he has to protect her, right? So he goes back with her. They have this whirlwind romance. Long story short, he ends up murdered.
Yep.
A woman from across the way, because it's New York, right? And that's what happens. You look into other people's apartments. I would do the same. Peeping Tom again. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Starts
Yeah.
off with Peeping Tom, and then this woman ends up being like sort of a Peeping Tom, right?
Yeah.
She basically sees the murder happen,
Hmm.
and she's a journalist, and it's her mission now to alert everybody that a man's been murdered and nobody gives a shit.
But but again, for the racial tension, it wasn't
Yes.
just a man; it was a black man. And then and then that's when the police officer said, "Hey, these people do that kind of stuff all the time, you know."
Yeah.
And plus, she was kind of ignored because she's like you said, a journalist. She had written up a story before, I guess, about the police department, and then when they found out her name and that she was the journalist, that was another thing where they try to ignore her and didn't want to listen to her, give her the time of day.
Mhm.
On top of the black man being murdered, it wasn't
I
the
was I was really surprised when she said that line. She's on a payphone talking to the police, and she goes, uh, "If this wasn't a black man, you would care," or something like that. But I
yeah,
was like, for 1972 to be like,
yeah.
to be having that message, I thought that was like pretty interesting. I didn't,
Mhm.
I kind of thought that that wouldn't be something necessarily that they would like address that way.
Yeah,
Um, and it just shows you how much little has changed in over since 1972.
yeah,
But yeah, it was, so she kind of goes on this like, this mission to point out that this woman's, that she feels the woman murdered the man. But then in the meantime, they discover that this woman has a sister.
yep.
It's not just any kind of sister.
No,
So this is where we'll say spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the film and you want to, probably stop here and then come back after. Check the film out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what kind of sister is it?
So they were conjoined twin Siamese twins.
Can we
You know,
still say that? Is that still an okay thing to say? Siamese twins? Is that an appropriate term? Just as far as we know.
uh, I don't know. That's why I had
That's
on
why you were waiting for me to say it, and I was waiting for you to
they
say it.
said that's what it was called in the movie,
Yes, yeah,
right?
I believe so. They are conjoined twins. You're right.
All
We'll
right,
go with that one, maybe.
let's fix that. Let's stop that.
I think no. I think it's still okay to say it.
They have it
Sure.
right here because it's like a French Canadian model separated conjoined twins. Um, all right, I don't want I don't want to
No, I'm messing. I don't think it's. I think it's okay.
no, I don't want to say it. I'm just gonna keep it as conjoined twins.
So they are conjoined twins,
Twins. Yep.
and the guy is that we see in the restaurant is the guy that did the operation. He's the doctor, right?
Yeah.
And he is creepy as hell.
Yeah, it's weird because he was running around and he was saying that he was her husband, or what was it? They were separated or something, or divorced. Yeah. My ex-husband. So, and it was kind of weird that he was there. And then so like, once the murder happened, he was there to kind of like clean everything up.
Yeah.
And it was definitely twisted, but this film was written and directed by Brian De Palma, and it was a screenplay inspired by like Soviet Union conjoined twins, and so that's a big thing we just got off of talking about the Soviet horror over at the Red Ink.
Yeah.
We had been over there. So, that was a big thing that this film was like focused on. So, like I said again, Brian De Palma, he was a director back in Hollywood during like the 1970s. He was known for like many films, like violent pictures or into like Hitchcock like thrillers. He also was like labeled as a like stereotype as a copycat from Hitchcock, and so like it would never leave him from sitting there doing types of film like this. So then I think after this film he stopped doing it, and you might know some other films that he had written and directed or directed. So there was Carrie, Scarface, The Untouchables, Carlito's Way, Mission Impossible, and like
wow.
And it goes on, but it was crazy because like after he did this film, and then like they said, Hitchcock copycat, he never once again made a film like this.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but I would want somebody to call me a Hitchcock copycat to go and create films like that, like he did.
Yeah. I mean, that list of films there is impressive.
And that's not even the full list. That was just like something I just wanted to like put together because that stuck out to me. So maybe there's other films that stick out to other people. Check out Brian De Palma. You might enjoy some more of his other films.
It's funny because now that you say that, I guess like Rare Window is kind of influenced in here as far as like the peeking into your neighbor's apartment.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other Hitchcock works maybe. I didn't even think of that while I was watching it though. So definitely a different vibe than a Hitchcock film, but
yeah. And Brian De Palma is a pretty cool guy because some of the two female leads in this film, they were struggling actresses in California in the 70s, and they held a party like at one of their friends' houses, and a neighbor who included Brian and everyone into it, he actually gave these roles to the women as a gift for Christmas. It was a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
So, like it was under a tree. And so when they opened up the box, it was the scripts to this film.
Oh,
so,
that's cool. That's cool. So that was for Margot Kidder and then the other woman?
Yeah, it's Jennifer Salt.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yep.
So Margot Kidder is like great in this film.
Yeah.
And I know I loved her in Black Christmas, obviously.
Yep.
And I didn't know she did other horror films. So it was cool seeing her in this. And she definitely is like a much different character than what we see in Black
Yeah.
Christmas for sure.
Yeah, there was
Um,
a lot of different things in this film that kind of like stuck out, you know, just like the split screen and everything like that, the way
yeah.
they stuff like that. I think it was well shot, just
Yep.
to like get the vibe and make it a little bit more creepier, like, and just like different scenes. In that dream scene, that was
Yeah.
something that was like inspired too by, kind of like Rosemary's Baby. And
Sure.
so I think that was one of his favorite films.
Now, let me ask you something. Like, if this is the product of being a copycat of like using your influences
Yep.
to inspire your film, is this a bad thing? If
Um,
like, because like I feel like it stands out enough on its own to
mhm.
not be like a direct ripoff, in my opinion. I guess like someone could probably argue that.
Yeah.
It feels like this is kind of like so. You know what it reminds me of? We talked to what was uh he did the movie Mickey Keating,
Yep.
right? And we talked about his influences. And when you watch his films, his influences are super like apparent. They're very obvious how they influence film. But he makes a film like it's his own film though. It's like it has his style and
Yeah.
his touches to it. What's wrong with that? I don't know.
I don't see anything wrong with it. Like if you're like now, it's like I think probably back in the '70s it was more personal. You know what I mean? I think it was like, oh, that's just my work. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
now everyone's work. Look at the remakes that we have, and everything like that go on. I think now everybody's kind of open to it, kind of like sharing like different ideas and being able to like float different ideas around to kind of make their story better of stuff that inspired them. And I think it's like
More acceptable. Yeah.
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 So
I agree. And I also like wanted to point out like the ending scene, like the last how long would you say the whole like showing what happened up until
mhm.
the very end? That was probably like the last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, last 20 minutes.
That 20 minutes is awesome. Like there it drags for me, there's like parts of this that drag in the middle. It
Hmm.
drags a little bit up until then, like you start to see things pick up a little bit. Once you get in that ending though, it's like, wow, what the hell is happening? It's crazy. One complaint I have though, at the very end, there's like this conflict
Yeah.
with both women are there, right? They're both in the bed. They're
Yep.
they're both laying next to each other, and the doctor's there.
Hmm.
Margot Kidder gets up and does something to the doctor to like hurt him,
Yep.
and he basically, again, spoiler, dies on top of her.
Yep.
Does she die? like,
I don't think
like,
so.
why doesn't she just get up?
No. Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of different like bizarre conclusions that happened in this film, like the ending. Like I know Jennifer Salt was questioned about like the meaning of the film's strange open-ended conclusion.
Yeah.
And like she admitted she didn't understand the meaning of the film's conclusion either. So it's like I think everyone's kind of like lost at the end of this film. So
I
yeah.
mean, it feels like something was supposed to be
Yeah.
intended for us to understand, but I just and like it just the way he like falls on top of her and she's like feels like she's trapped under his body, but he's not a big dude. Like
No.
he's not like super big. She could easily roll him off, push
Yep.
him off, and like she's like suffering and then she looks like she's about to pass out or pass away. I can't tell. And there's
Yep.
really no reason for it. Like she should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange, but ultimately fitting, I guess, for a very strange film.
Yeah, exactly. And there was another actor that kind of that popped up. As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, "Well, hold on, wait a minute." I had to look at him again. It was Bernard Hughes, which he's the grandfather from the Lost Boys. So he was in the
Oh, yeah.
scene. He was in the scene talking to Jennifer, like kind of giving her that info and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was cool because Bernard Hughes, he was a great actor, and Lost Boys being one of my favorite films, and
Yeah.
his comedy and everything in that film, I think he was like one of the best actors, that
Yeah.
played in that film.
Nice
But
little
yeah,
connection.
like I said again, there was that open-ended conclusion. Like, if did you continue watching the film like after like the credits a little bit, like to kind of see what was going on?
Remind me of what that looked like because I'm trying to remember now. I watched it
Remember
a few
the
weeks
the
ago.
moving guy that went to take the pictures and everything inside and found the files?
Yeah.
He had gone. Remember, he said he was going to Canada to find.
Yeah. I don't think I caught this.
Yeah, so he's like on a telephone post at the end, and the truck is actually pulling up to a building in Canada, and the couch was taken out. You know what I mean? And and it just ends. He's just on a telephone pole, and you can see the body. Well, not the body, but the couch and everything like that from that they had on that truck, and
Oh,
then it just says the end. So like it was open ended. Like what's going on? Like you know what I mean? What happened? Did he report the body was inside there?
yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of different things, but
Do you think they were intending to do a Sisters 2?
I don't know. I think they were probably trying to, but then all the hate that it received, it probably was just like, all right, we'll back off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the film was remade back in 2006, and I hear nothing but terrible things about it. Like I seen a review, it just says this film would have been great if it was never made. so
Oh boy.
so I don't think anybody should check that film out.
Any notable names in it that you know of?
No,
No.
not at all.
I wonder what inspired somebody. Like this actually feels like this could be remade into a modern decent film.
Yeah, I think that like if it was done the right way, you know, I don't know. I think it has to be someone that's like a real like Hitchcock fan, like what I mean, maybe someone like Jordan Peele. I don't know,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that has something different. Just bring something
I'm
different.
gonna toss this out there. I think Mickey Keating could do it.
Mickey.
Mickey, get on this. I think he has a little bit of Hitchcockian influence. And I know Rosemary's Baby was another film that he was into. I could picture that.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie. No, I'm just kidding. This could be an American Horror Story season.
Oh yeah, it definitely can.
It kind of reminded me of that. What was it? The Asylum one where
Yeah.
with the doctor in there. Yeah.
See that happening, but I only think I watched like the first season, probably like the first 6 episodes of American Horror Story. I can't get into that show.
No,
Nah.
You've only seen Murder House.
Yeah, and then like I'll watch like a few minutes.
Oh
Of,
yeah, yeah.
I think I get lost in episodes and stuff because it just doesn't go anywhere for a few episodes.
I haven't watched any of the more recent seasons, but even the ones that I watched prior, which I've seen a lot of them,
Yeah.
somewhere like 3/4 of the way, they end up losing me at some point. They just get a little too crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anyways, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Have you ever seen Conjoined Twins?
No. On TV.
Would you like to?
What the hell is this? Like a peeping Tom?
I think it would be cool. I think it would be cool. I
Yeah.
would be like super intrigued to get to know what it's like to be in a conjoined twin.
Yeah.
Being a twin actually fascinates the crap out of me. What's that like?
My nieces are twins, so
I mean, you look just like your brother. Is that close enough to being a twin?
I don't know, but I see like like I know like a set of twins and everything like that. Like I know they know each other like better than anyone in the world. You know what I mean? Because they kind of like go through. I know. I don't know. Like you know what I mean?
No, I what you're saying is exactly what I'm getting at. It's that idea that like, and have you ever heard that like sometimes they know when they can sense.
Yeah.
That is so fascinating, man. Now imagine that person's actually attached to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I feel like if someone hits, and like depending on where they're joined, like there's so many questions I have. So if anybody knows a conjoined twin and can just point them in my direction, that would be greatly appreciated.
Point them out.
I have questions. They'll be tactfully stated. But anyways,
don't dress up like that doctor and try to talk to them though.
Yeah. So anyways, recommend?
Definitely. Great film.
Absolutely. Again, like I'll say this, I feel like 70s film, prepare yourself. Like I said, there's parts that drag a little bit for me, at least. 70s films are kind of notorious for, like, I feel like nowadays in in especially like starting probably in the 80s and up to now, like music heavy in movies, like music fills almost downtime or lag time. And 70s, I think there's like maybe scores, but it's less like, I don't know. It just, for me, time can drag a little bit, but the scenes make up for it. So definitely check it out.
Definitely check it
All
out.
right. Yeah. So that brings us to film number 2. So thank you to Miss Mel 821 and Nicole Matarese.
Appreciate it. A1 films, keep them coming. The next film is The Deadly Spawn, and that was recommended by @Dave_horror. So The Deadly Spawn, man, that was a crazy fucking film. It was a 1983 American science fiction horror. It was just nuts. It was my type of film. Fucking, it just went crazy. There was like 4 kills in the first 13 minutes.
Yeah.
That's my kind of movie. So you want to kind of like go into a little bit more about it?
Sure. Yeah. Very like straightforward film, like right from what you see on the box cover, or like, when you're streaming it, the little picture of it is what you get. It's alien monsters. They actually like really cool creatures, right? Like a very cool looking creatures. Lots of teeth, which
crazy.
Grosses me out, but also I can't stop looking at it. One of those type of deals. Just super 80s, super cheesy storyline. You know what it reminded me of?
What's that?
Slugs.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
I think Slugs is a better movie, but this reminded me of Slugs a lot.
Slugs with like trimmers, you know what I mean? Like just the monster kind of like, has that kind of look to him a little bit. Yeah, it was fucking crazy, So I know it was like a film that was inspired by Alien, the film Alien when it came out, so a lot of films were kind of like trying to cash in on that worldwide success, but like I think this film was just set to kind of like just have fun, you know what I mean? Like they knew they weren't going to win awards or anything like that, so they kind of like stuck to the script and just had fun with it, and so going back, like missing this film and going back to watching it now is just like, wow, how the fuck did I miss this film? So
yeah.
And
so the difference between Alien and this one, aside from there's like some comedy added to this, which I think is popular for horror movies at this time. The other part of it though is, so with Alien, there's always that debate: is Alien sci-fi or is Alien horror? I feel like people ask that a lot. I mean, I personally think it's horror. It's both, right?
Yeah, I would say it's horror
sci-fi, because like even though you're in space, that like it's the aliens are horrific and they murder everybody. With this film, they clear that up really quick by just pointing out like one of the characters is actually like a horror fanatic. He's like the the Corey Feldman in Friday the 13th, right? When he's making all the masks, he's just like that character. And that, to me, that's like, this is horror, but then they also add the comedy, which is an 80s trope for sure. It's a good time. It's one that you would watch with your friends while you're having a couple beers or something like that.
And then when shit gets crazy, a lot of the kills were just like nuts, what I mean? So man, like going into it, like I said, when I watched the kills and all the practical effects, man, like it just is top notch. And I can only imagine like catching this film like years ago, but like I'm kind of glad, like I said before, I'm kind of glad I missed it and was able to appreciate it now going through times. I mean, because there was a lot of times like when we had a downtime and catching up on 80s films that we didn't see before, just taking this opportunity to watch this again, man, like it was. And so there's actually a sequel to this, Metamorphosis, like the Alien Factor, also known as one too, but it was like a 1990 film. And so like the jump between the two films, being able to watch them, it felt like, okay, watching the 80s film, it was it's 1979 film, it was what was it? It's kind of like watching Friday the 13th. And then watching the second film was kind of like Jason X, because it was like Jason Goes to Space, so it was like totally different. Like, you know what I mean? So it was
Oh
like the
yeah.
monster on like on a different level, and it had that cheesy sci-fi channel movie feel to it. So if you definitely want it, you should check that one out too. Make like a double feature out of it.
Is that streaming on Tubi as well?
That is on Tubi.
Okay.
No, actually,
Actually,
no, it's on YouTube.
it's on YouTube. Okay, actually, I lied. This wasn't on Tubi. Deadly Spawn was on Shutter. That's where I watched it, at least. I don't know where you caught
Okay, yep.
it. One of the coolest scenes, in my opinion, was the face smell scene.
Yep.
Like when you see all the skin melting off. I love that effect, and it. I don't know. It just like scenes like that don't exist these days.
Yeah.
Like they don't take the time to just like make a really good practical effect that it's not so much that it looks real, but it's just like it's gory and it's gooey and it's
Yep.
gross and it's slimy. I love like body melt stuff from the 80s. Like that was a cool little time, and this definitely fit into that a little bit.
My favorite kill in this film was it has to be the girl, the friend. She had gotten her head ripped off, and then her body just like fell out the window, and she was just like nuts. So it was just like, you know what I mean, like there's a lot of like great things about this film that, like I said, I'm just happy I was able to watch it again for the first time. So
Yeah.
thank you for recommending this film. So
This this fits into this trend that we've had so many times more recently within the last couple of years of like
yep.
discovering a film from the 80s that it's existed this whole time. We just been oblivious to it. And this is like the best part of like being part of the horror community, but also having the advantage of all these like streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Like I know it sucks for people who love to like tape find and they love to like discover like gems that not everybody's seen, and having
Yeah.
everything so accessible is makes it a little less like novel. But at the same time, there's so many films we never would have seen ever had we not had
Exactly.
access to it now.
hmm Because that's the thing. It's like some films I can sit there and say, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't know the name of this film, but we can let it play for a few minutes when it's streaming, and then it comes on, and you're like, all right, this I know this." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth it. That's why I'm a big physical media guy too, but over the years, streaming has become like my go-to because like I'm always on the go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah, it's easy, and like just the never ending like resources that seem to be on there are crazy.
and that's the thing. When I first started this film, I was like thinking like, oh, all right, let me watch this. I was on my Peloton treadmill. I was running, and I'm sitting there just like, all right, wait a minute. And then like the kills are getting crazy. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. No,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. I'm like, all right, I gotta watch this on the TV. So it's like I said, that's being convenient, being able to watch it on the phone while I'm running or doing whatever, and then like saying, okay, well, now I'm gonna go upstairs and watch this. And then
So I think that's a great point. That's a great point for this film. I think if you are going to watch it, like watch it on a TV. Don't
yeah,
watch it on a small screen, because like the effects and the monster is cool. Like give it what it deserves. I mean, it's to be honest with you, like the film quality itself is like super grainy and like so the quality it doesn't do it justice if you watch it on a small screen. So I would definitely recommend watching this on a TV at least.
yep.
This would be a really cool one to do at a movie night.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I think people would love it. And so that's the thing. It's like for alien films, I'm really not into alien films, but it was just like the twist that they were able to do with
Yeah.
this that made me enjoy this. So
Terror, it's like Terrorvision a little bit too. Like
yeah,
a little bit of sci-fi vibe, but it's got some comedy. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
A little gruesome. Yeah. There's probably a bunch of these types of films that we could make a list of that we enjoy, that like harder sci-fi, but they're more horror.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but like, didn't you say that Final Terror was kind of like sci-fi?
Yeah, Final Terror was something like that. Yeah, a little bit.
I just got added to Shutter. I'm gonna watch that soon.
Yeah, it's definitely a slow burn, but it was cool. I think that was something I recommended in like the first season, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because then you watched the sequel and you talked about that one.
Yep. Final
So
test.
I knew that this was going to be recommended by you on here when you recommended it to people in person this past weekend at the that event at Red Ink. You were telling people to check this out. So I was like, oh damn, Brandon liked this for sure.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it at that point. So I think that it's safe to say we're both probably on the same page with saying people definitely should check this out. I think it's one that um, you know, I'm assuming a lot of people haven't seen, although it's on Shutter, so you never know. When things get on Shutter, people usually tend to check them out.
Yeah. All right. So now what we need to do is let's rank these films from the first two that we just did
Yep.
with these one. Let's rank them up.
So
What would you rank?
we got Race with the Devil,
Yep.
Sisters,
Yep.
Deadly Spawn, and Blades.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. It's a tough one. All right. I liked Race with the Devil quite a bit.
Okay.
I don't know
So
that would be the
number
top.
one?
I don't know that would be the top one. Blades is probably the lowest
Yeah.
for me so far.
Blades is last place.
And not that I disliked it. It out of these four, it was less enjoyable than the other three. Shit. I mean, this one's up there. It's between Race with the Devil and Sisters is tough for me. Kind of like both of them. I'm gonna say Race with the Devil above Sisters.
Oh yeah?
I might. Race with the Devil was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was. You can't go wrong. It's like one of those choices where you can like tied. They're like both right here.
Yeah. The pace of Races of the Devil is what I liked the most because I didn't feel like it dragged at all. There was some scenes I probably could have done without. It didn't have it wasn't as crazy as Sisters, but I liked it.
Yep.
I don't know what would you say? What's your ranking so far? I'm assuming this one's the top so far. Deadly Spawn.
Deadly Spawn's first place. I was going I want to say Sisters. Sisters is second. Race with the Devil, and then Blades.
All right, and I think I would just flip flop Sisters and Race with the Devil.
Yeah.
But I do think that this one, Deadly Spawn, is like right up our alley as far as the types of films that we enjoy.
Yep.
We look for in horror, but I mean, we're very open to all sorts of films.
I'm open to anything. Throw it our way. So definitely throw some more recommendations. These picks have been killer, so
it's tough to pick sometimes when we look at that list and first of all, we just we narrow it down to what we haven't seen, but then what's left is still some they all sound like they're good picks.
I want to sit there and tell, because at first you picked Teenage Zombies.
I did.
You did pick that, and I had watched it, and I was just like, "This is the worst movie fucking ever made." You're like, "Hey, I changed it." I'm like, "Thank God," but I want to sit there. Let's kind of give Teenage Zombies some hate real quick. I think that's definitely ranked the worst movie ever made for me. I tried to get
worst ever made.
Worst ever made. There's not even zombies in the film. There's a cover and it has a gorilla, and there's I don't even know.
Oh my God.
The movie was so slow. It was just
I got to give a shout out to a little bit of Erica on Instagram.
Yeah.
Who, you know who that is, right?
Yeah.
So our friend from Origin Beer Project I was thinking Erica recommended one for us. Let's check that out. I saw it was black and white. I was like, I'm not in the mood for black and white. So I changed it, and you missed that memo.
Yeah, I think that was definitely some fucking around with us shit. You know what I mean? Trying to fuck with us. Let me just recommend this piece of shit.
Now I have to see it now that you've seen it and you have this much hate for it. I think I gotta watch it.
Terrible. It's like if Leave It to Beaver was the worst show ever made. mixed with some other shit. I don't know, Erica. How dare you? How dare you fucking recommend that movie? Privilege is taken away.
Well, here's my challenge to anybody that's listening and anyone that follows us on social media who recommends films. I really want you guys to give us the most two categories. Either it's the most bonkers thing you've ever seen, or I really want people to recommend some gory ass shit on there. I want to see some gory. I watch it. Well, I have watched. I love gore. I love gore.
Yeah. So I'm not mad at that, because look at Sisters, you know what I mean, and Race with the Devil.
Yeah,
those are great films. So
yep. So I want to keep going in that line, but there's another franchise that was on there that I think we'll end up picking from somebody who recommended it. I think in week 1 or month 1, that might end up getting in there at some point. Do you know a franchise I'm referring to? Did you see it?
No.
I'll tell you off
Is
there.
it the toilet thing? Something?
No. Yeah. See, I'm telling you, there's some funny ones on there. We'll have to probably delve into.
I have to look at the list again, but
yeah. All right. So 2 more great films. Thank you guys for these recommendations. This has been a lot of fun doing these. And we will be back next month with the next 2 films that you guys recommend. And we can't wait to see what those are going to be.
Make them crazy. Don't make them as bad as Teenage Zombies, please. I want to finish it.
All right, everybody. See you next week, and have a great St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. Leprechaun in the Hood.
Back to the hood.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Night.